Hello, hello. Welcome to the show. I'm Danielle Mercurio, the host of the Danielle Mercurio Show, and you're getting a solo dose of me tonight. And I'm really into this conversation that we're going to be having. It's all about numbers. Now, I have never been the one to be good at traditional math, so to speak. Never was really my jam growing up in school. However, I was always fascinated by reoccurring numbers and patterns and different sequencing of things. And that is very relevant in the metaphysical and spiritual community. And you may play a part in it because you realize that you do, or maybe even more than you actually realize. So this episode will unpack the energy of numbers, the vibrations that they hold, the fact that they are actually a symbol, and that symbol can represent a certain energy, a certain sign, a certain message for you. And we can look to numbers as a sign to let us know where we are in our journey, as an indicator to what is going on in our life. And again, we may be consciously aware of it, or we may be kind of consciously aware from the space of, those moments where you seem to look up at the clock and it's 11:11. You're like, oh, wow, it's 11:11. And then you happen to look at your phone a couple hours later and it's 1:11. And you're like, whoa, now it's 1:11. And then you see a car on your way home that has a license plate with 3 ones. And then it's time to go to bed and you realize it's 11:11 yet again. You're like, what is that? That's so weird. What a coincidence. And here's the thing. In the universal world, there are no coincidences. There are only things coinciding with your life. And then you have an opportunity to decide and choose if you want to coincide with it right back. The universe gives us signs and symbols to play with, and we get to decide if we're going to accept that invitation to play, if we are going to accept the invitation to explore, to be curious. And numbers are a great way to do that. So we'll discuss a little bit about what each number means, 1 through 9, why reoccurring seems to happen, why we go through different phases with different numbers, and also repeating, why we see, a few numbers in a row. What is the significance of that? And then, of course, just the overall energy of signs and recognizing, that none of this is weird. It takes a lot, and I'm not jaded, right? But it takes a lot when people tell me like these really amazing stories of kind of auspicious circumstances that they've had. And they're like, isn't that weird? Isn't it weird that I was thinking of this person and then they reached out to me? And I'm like, no, it's not weird. It's awesome. And it's right on point, and it's spiritually on purpose. And so I think it's, not weird at all, but really awesome. And don't get me wrong, there are definitely some moments where some really kooky, magical things happen that are pretty wild, and I'll acknowledge them as weird. But in my world, all of this is just normal, and it's pretty groovy. One thing that's really exciting that's coming up for us if you're listening IRL is the date 11/11. So on November 11th, we will be harvesting and opening up into the vibrational energy of 11/11 for an entire day. So it's not just about seeing it on a street address or seeing it on the clock. It's actually embodying it for the day. And there's some really cool energetic windows that will be available to us. And I will be offering an opportunity for you to be able to tap into that through a guided virtual experience. Essentially, it's an 1.5-hour virtual workshop that you can purchase in advance. And then anytime from midnight on 11/11 all the way through the morning of November 12th, you can do this workshops. You'll do it in your own time at your own Zen den, participate, and essentially through detailed information, guided meditations and visualizations, and certain breath work, we'll go on a journey to really open up into the essence of the day and allow the portal to help you ascend. And I'll go into a little bit more detail around what 11 means deeper in the show, but I want to share with this with you now to kind of get you in the understanding that this is a really great opportunity to tap into, to take an hour and a half at some point between the onset of 11/11 to the morning of November 12th. Why we're doing it into the morning the day after is because we have a full moon in Taurus on 11/12. And what I've been called to create with this virtual experience is not only an opportunity for you to elevate and ascend in the 11/11 portal. However, then I've constructed an energetic cosmic bridge that will take you right up into the full moon. So you can have a full moon experience to help bring everything that you just opened up into on 11/11 into deeper fruition. So it's a really groovy experience. You can check out the show notes to sign up, or you can go to daniellemercurio.com/1111 /1111 /1111 and opt in at any time, and it's going to be really groovy. So I just hit my microphone. Let's get into our numbers, shall we?
Danielle Mercury, it's time for the show. Danielle, welcome to the show. Danielle Mercury, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
All right, so numbers. As I mentioned, they're more than just math. They're more than just money. They are an energetic property that carries symbolic evidence from the universe, from our cosmic sphere, from the energy that we evoke. They become a reflection. They become an opportunity. They become a gateway for growth. And it's really powerful. We don't want to take it lightly. And so the first thing that we have to do before we can really understand what the spiritual meaning is when we see numbers and we see them reoccurring, maybe we're seeing not the same number over and over, but maybe there's a certain number. For me, I see 38 a lot. That's a significant number for me. So we can talk a little bit about what unique number formulas mean for you, as well as repeating numbers, different phases, all the things. We're going to go through the whole gamut. So this is something you might want to have a pen and paper, or just really just lean back and listen and notice what speaks to you the most, because that's probably the vibration and the numbers that are going to be vibrating with you the most right now. So before we can get into the whole system of looking at numbers from a spiritual capacity, we have to go through each number and really understand what each number means. I share this with astrology as well. Before you can really understand astrology and your chart and go into all of that, you need to learn what all 12 signs are. You need to learn what the planets do. And then you can start to take it further. So same thing with numbers. We want to learn what each number means, become intimate with the knowing the essence of that number, and then we can play from there. So let's begin with the very first number, 1. And for this, I'm actually not, I don't feel called to use 0, because 0 is, while it does have a spiritual meaning in essence, it's really neutrality. It's really almost like nothingness. And so while nothingness is great, oftentimes we don't receive zeros as a symbol or a clue, because usually our signs are to help us move forward. It's to give us evidence. It's to lead us in a different direction or further down the current direction. And 0 doesn't really hold that energy. So one thing I wanted to say about that piece. Okay, so let's start with 1. 1 is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. I never understood that song. That's not true. So 1 is essentially a straight line, and it's the symbol of manifestation. 1 is, what do you want? What is it that would feel like bringing more completion and oneness and wholeness into your life? 1 is the energy of, what do you want to start with? right? It's number one. What is the number one thing that you want to bring into your life? What is the one thing that you want to start with? What is the one thing that you want to bring into your world? And what happens is with one is when we can get really clear on that one thing, on that one desire, on that one goal, then what happens is that oneness starts to spread, that one energy starts to expand, and it starts to turn into something more. So when we think of one, we want to think of the energy of manifesting. And that's why we take it further into repeating numbers, and we have 1111. The reason why people say at 1111 make a wish is because, one represents manifesting, and manifesting is essentially making a wish. And so the energy of one and being symbolic in an 1111 fashion is that make-a-wish energy. What also happens when one is paired with another one, now we're getting some mirror energy. It's becoming more powerful, because one on its own is definitely powerful, and it's a starting point, and it's a way to establish what it is that you want. We also need to bring in the other side. And so when we pair one with another one, we're kind of creating this really cool parallel where you have your one thing that you want, and then there's the energy of it happening and it being side by side with you. So you're creating this really cool parallel force with the ones in succession next to each other. And again, that's why 1111 just becomes such a powerful thing. And it's basically a little wink from the universe being like, hey, we're listening. We're just presenting you with a little candle over here. Why don't you blow it out and make a wish? You're ready to receive. You're ready for more. Ask for it. And if you notice that you just keep seeing 1111 and you feel like you're not getting what it is that you want, there's also kind of the notion that maybe you're not asking for the right thing. Maybe you're not really believing in what you're asking. You're asking, but you're kind of just like asking, like, I really want a new job, ? As opposed to, oh, I'm calling in a new job, and the new job that I have is going to have legs. It is going to have this kind of setup, this kind of salary, this kind of feeling, this kind of location, this kind of work environment. And I know that I have what it takes to allow myself to move into that next job. I know that there is capacity for me to have a job that's better than the current career that I have. And so it's really being in a space where you're in full force, where you're rallying, where you believe the hype around what you're asking for. And so if you keep seeing 1111 and you're not getting what you want, it's likely that the universe is telling you, you got to believe a little bit more. We need a little bit more belief from you. We need more faith, so to speak. And so that's something to think about. And that's something that we'll unpack in the 1111 Ascension experience that's happening. So it's definitely, again, a really gorgeous opportunity. I'm going to be talking about it a lot through this because it's really good and I want you to do it. Anyway. Okay, let's move into 2. So 2 succeeds 1, and it's kind of the next level. It's like, ooh, faith restored, faith renewed. You've seen kind of some miracles. You've had some breakthroughs. You've been in a space now where you're really kind of believing the hype and what this is all about. And you're starting to see that there is some proof to this cosmic pudding, if you will. And so 2 is the energy of having divine wisdom on your side, having divine guidance, knowing that whatever it is that you believe in, angels, God, higher power, higher self, is available to you. So when you see a 2, it's essentially saying divine guidance is available to you. Now, do you want that to be your higher self? Do you want that to be communicating to your God through prayer? Do you want to bring in angelic guidance? Do you want to bring in the feeling of someone from the other side, your guides? Okay, so we want to think about divinity and guidance in 2. And we want to think about our relationship with that, right? Relationships, 2, right? They go hand in hand, a couple. So 2 also signifies relationships, your relationship to higher power, your relationship to yourself, your relationship to spirituality and the divine. And it also represents balance and harmony. It may represent your love life. So when you see a lot of twos, it may be a acknowledgement that your love life is improving, that your relationships are getting stronger. And again, if you're seeing that that isn't coming to fruition, you're still seeing twos, it may be more of your team reaching out to you saying, hey, talk to us. You haven't been nurturing this relationship. We haven't heard from you in a little while. We love you. We're on your side. We're here for you. Communicate with us. Please reach out. We want to help you. And that's the energy of 2. Then we move into 3, and it's a deeper alignment. 3 is all about alignment. 3 is connecting to your God in a way that is very fluid. Like you're very familiar with how to connect with your guides. You're very familiar how to connect to your source. Ascended masters really like to communicate through 3s, and ascended masters are teachers like Buddha, Jesus, Mary Magdalene. Wayne Dyer, I consider now to be connected to ascended mastery. So when we see 3s, we want to know that there are some really groovy teachers and cosmic universal mentors that are looking out for you and want you to go deeper into that and want you to explore that path within your own self. So I see 3 as a sign of mastery and you being more in flow with communicating with something greater and all of the amazing teachers and sources that are available to us on the other planes. And it also just symbolizes alignment. When you see a lot of 3s, you're moving fully into alignment. And then again, we can look at the flip side. If we keep seeing 3s and we're not feeling aligned, it's a reminder, it's like, okay, something's out of whack here. What is that? What isn't allowing you to feel like things are coming together? What's not allowing you to feel heard, et cetera, et cetera. Then we move into 4. That's a big one. A lot of people see 4s. So 4s has a couple different meanings. 4 is definitely connected to the angelic realm. Angels communicate through 4s. I love seeing 3 4s in a row because I just know that my angels are just like, we love you, Danielle. We're thinking of you. We're cheering you on. You're so amazing. Thank you for all the groovy things you do. And also, if you're worried, if you're stressed, if you're carrying too much on your shoulders, on your plate, we're helping. We're working on it. You're on the right path. You're doing a good thing. Know that we're looking out for you. So that's a lot of the energy of 4. What also is the energy of 4 is foundation, grounding. Okay. So 4 is about, not being so up in the ethereal world, which we are sometimes with 1, 2, and 3, but 4 is also like the angels got your back. So realize that they're kind of up here winging it for you, and you got to stay down here on the ground. You've got to be able to take everything that is being presented to you from the universe and make it tangible and practical as a human. Okay. And this is kind of like that earth angel analogy of recognizing that you have the makings of an angel. The angels are a part of you. They're not something that's outside of you. The angels are you. But within that, you are here on this earth. So knowing that you're here on this earth and you are walking it, what can you do to provide that practicality and tangibility? Then we move into 5. 5 is a groovy one from the space of it means transition, change. Oftentimes when you see a lot of 5s, it means that something is at a turning point. Either something is ready to go, something is going to walk away. There's going to be some kind of change or shift in career, in your financial status, in your relationships, in your health, right? And typically 5 is the energy of something's going to change and it may be a little rocky at first. Okay. You may need to brace yourself. There's going to be a change and it may not be pleasant. However, this change is the bridge into something really magnificent, is the bridge to tapping into something that is more aligned, more meaningful, and definitely more intentional. So when we see 5, we want to be really honest about what's going on in our world. What is it that we are not willing to let go of? What is it that we haven't been allowing to move forward? What is it that we keep putting off? Where are we still settling? if we keep seeing fives, it's a kind of a warning sign around that. And it's also a warning sign in saying like, hey, if you don't do something soon, something drastic is going to happen. If you don't take care of the situation, it will be taken care of for you. And it probably won't be as fun. I recently had that happen this last month. I started seeing fives and I knew it. And I knew deep down that why I was seeing the fives, because I knew I was resisting some things. And I was hoping that maybe the resistance would just fade or it would just kind of magically get better. Has anyone done that before? Where you're just like, I know that this is what I need to do. And it's not anything that involves, in my case, it wasn't anything that technically involved anyone else. It was more of a personal change that I needed to make. And I kept putting it off, just thinking that it would organically happen on my behalf. If you've done that before, I see you, I feel you, I adore you. And I saw the fives and I saw another symbol, which is actually, you're resisting change, or things are going to change whether you like it or not. It's actually a cockroach. I saw a giant cockroach in my hotel room. Yes, Marriott, I'm calling you out. There was one, but I couldn't get mad. I didn't even tell them. It was literally, I was leaving. Like I literally was rolling my suitcase out of the room, and that's when I saw it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, what is in store for me? And I was really curious. And last week I got sick, and I was sick for 5 days, and I couldn't eat. I couldn't even have the attention to do anything. I just literally laid in my bed for 5 days. Towards the end, I started to be able to watch Hallmark movies, but I could not do anything. I did not have the mental capacity. I did not have the strength. I was completely spent. However, after those 5 days, I realized what my lesson was. I realized what I had been resisting, and I said, enough. I'm not going to just think that this is going to magically change on my behalf. I'm not going to just believe that, if I just want it to be better bad enough, that it will be. I recognized where I needed to start to make some changes and start to implement them. And let me tell you, while I'm still in that journey, I feel more in alignment. I feel stronger, and I feel more clear than I ever have. And I know that last 5 days had to happen for me to birth where I am now. So just a little recent personal share around fives and kind of what they hold. Oh, I have another thought I want to talk about later. I'm going to make a little note. Okay. So now we're going to move into six. I love six. I know six gets like a weird rap, which I think is crazy and silly. And I think because six is very connected in my mind to feminine energy, and in our culture, the patriarchy has taken away a lot of our feminine gems. The moon is a perfect example of that. Our moon sign represents our feminine, but in our society, all we talk about is the sun and masculine energy. And even, in astrology, when we say what our sign is, we're talking about our sun. We're talking about our masculine sign. We're not talking about our feminine. We're not talking about our moon. Now we are, but it's been a long time coming because it's always been about the masculine. It's always been about taking action forward. And six represents the feminine. And so I think that's why six gets a weird rap of being like spooky, connected to like the devil, connected to just things that are wrong or bad, or, you're going to be in trouble if you see a lot of sixes. But no, actually not at all, because it actually represents the feminine. It represents intuition. It represents natural growth. It represents trust. And so it's interesting that we put a bad rap on those things, right? Why is it that our society did that? Trying to hold us back, trying to keep us safe. When you look at the number six, if you look at the curves of it, and you look at the way that it, the six starts with the curve on the left, and then it circles up and around. And what do we get? We get a beautiful pregnant woman. And so when we look at the six and we see this beautiful pregnant individual, we see birth, we see new life, we see growth. And so when I see sixes, I see potential. I see things being grown. I see things coming to life. I see myself or the individual that's talking to me about it as someone that's connecting more to their feminine, more to their intuition, more to flow, more to leaning back and just letting it happen. When you become pregnant with a child, you can't force that. You can't say 3 months in, I want the baby now. You have to wait. You have to allow the process of nature to unfold. And then in due time, around the 9-month window, allow your baby to come out into the world. And that's the same thing with the things that we're working on. A lot of times we get a really great idea and we get so excited, and then we get impatient and we try to rush, we get angry, we create these weird energetic blocks as opposed to just being open and receiving and not chasing. And not being so open that we're not doing anything about it, right? When you're pregnant, what are you doing? You're taking care of yourself. You're creating rest. You're working on the things that you need to do to get ready for the baby. You're preparing your home. So there's all these things that you're doing in preparation for this big occurrence to happen. And so when you see sixes and you're working on something, just keep working on what you need to do to make it seem so ready when it does come available to you, as opposed to trying to chase it and getting mad and getting really impatient, because honestly, you'll just start wasting more time. Let's move into 7. I love 7s. I think I like 7s because 7s represent you're on the right track. And so it's just nice. It's like, yes. I find a lot of times too, if I have trouble making a decision, let's say like someone texts me and they're like, do you want to go out tonight? And, like I'm not sure. And then I see 7-7. It's like, no, yeah, Danielle, go out tonight. It's cool. Or like, I'm about to like invest in something. Let's say like I'm booking an appointment or I'm booking a trip and I'm kind of like having a moment. I'm like, should I work with this person? Should I go on this trip? And then, again, my phone will be at 77%. And it's like, oh, yes, I should. You were on the right track with booking this. That was a good idea to be on this, travel site. And so 7-7 represents the energy of keep going. It's not done yet, but it's a good opportunity. So when you see it on license plates, when you see it, let's say you're moving somewhere and the address is 7-7, it's like, oh, amazing, you're on the right track. Like you've found your home. Great. So I really appreciate 7 energy because it's really simple in the fact that it's just really an indicator of keep going. This is a good indicator that this is positive for you. This is where you need to be. And there are times where maybe I've gotten 7-7 and, I thought it meant I was on the right track, which I was, but it was on the right track to learn something, right? It was on the right track to help grow, right? I remember one time I was like debating if I should like see an ex and I saw 7-7 and I was like, okay, yes, that means I'm going to go see him. And I was supposed to, because what happened through our exchange made me realize something about myself that I really needed to learn for my dating life going forward. So 7-7 means you're on the right track. Go for it. Do it. And it may lead to a desirable outcome, or it may lead to a lesson that was necessary for you to learn. And then you keep going on the path, right? Like I learned the lesson that I needed to with my ex so that I could keep moving forward with my dating life, but do it in a way that was more strong and more aligned and more aware because of what I learned in that last round. Let's move into 8. 8s I love. Many of you participated in my Lionsgate experience on 8-8. 8-8 is actually the eve of my birthday. I was born on August 9th. So my birthday eve is 8-8, which I think is so fun. And 8 signifies the number or the symbol of abundance, prosperity. When we look at the number 8, what happens is there's actually no beginning or end. It's infinite. If we turn 8 on its side, we get the infinity symbol. So 8 is this constant loop that's basically happening. And so when we see 8-8, we see that we have an opportunity. We see that we have an ability to be really prosperous, to expand, to make more, to have a constant flow of love, joy, ease, money, fun, excitement sent our way. So that's what's great about 8s is when you're seeing 8s, you're like, ooh, I'm in the flow. I'm in the vortex. And if I'm in the vortex, what is it that I want to be in here with me? If I'm cycloning, if I'm swirling around, what do I want to be swirling around with? So we want to be really intentional, because if we're not, and we're just in a bad mood, guess what's going to keep swirling around? Our crankiness. And there's nothing wrong with being in a bad mood. Let me also say that we do not have to be positive all the time. We do not have to be thinking about how we want love, money, success all the time. If we're having a bad day, have the bad day. That's fine. The universe doesn't punish you for that. However, don't try to manifest on your bad days. Like, don't try to call in more love, money on a bad day. When you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. That's not your day to manifest. That's not your day to be in the vortex. And you probably won't see eights. I tend to see eights when I'm in a high vibe state, when I'm doing something that's bringing me joy, when I'm in an energy of success. I see eight to say, yeah, Danielle, you're in that vortex. But when I'm having kind of a crappy day, I don't see eights. They don't show up, because they're like, Danielle, we're not going there. We don't want you to be in this vortex. So we're not even going to remind you of it. So we're going to make sure that you don't see it. When I'm not feeling well, I'm seeing the fives. I'm seeing the twos. I'm seeing the fours, right? Because they're like, we love you. Like, it's time to change it up. But like, in the meantime, just like, be where you are. It's cool. It's going to get better. Tomorrow will be a new day. And then maybe you'll see eights then. And you can play in the eight energy. So, I love that stuff. Okay, and then we get to 9. 9 is completion. Yay, we did it. We made it to 9. So when you see lots of 9s, it's a symbol of things coming to completion, ending, chapters closing, job well done, or that was the right decision to kind of end whatever it was that you were ending. And now it's time to move into the next phase. So really, 9s are really simple in that space of completion, ending, let it happen, let it end, and then move into the next thing. And if endings are hard for you, make sure that you get the support that you need. I don't want to be like super cut and dry with all this, like, oh yeah, you had to let that go. All right, let it go. Moving on, what's next? Or that chapter closed, moving on, what's next? We want to honor that chapter closing. We want to get support that we need. Grief can come with it, bringing in gratitude, having a practice around that when you're closing something and you're seeing the 9 to support it. Make sure that you're also bringing in anything that you need to really honor that chapter closing. And that way you're kind of creating a really nice clean break as you move into the next thing, and you're really not bringing any lingering old baggage into the next phase that you're moving into. All right, so that's 1 through 9. And take a sip of water. And I'm going to remind you again, 11:11. We have my Ascension portal experience. So again, now that you're learning more about numbers, you're seeing kind of how powerful and how fruitful it can be to really play and tap into that energy. And that's why I created the experience for you to hone in on as the cosmos play with us on our date 11:11 and create a really magical, auspicious window for you to step into. And I'm going to teach you how to do that through the workshop, through, as I mentioned, meditations, certain breath work, certain visualizations, certain mudras that you can do, because mudras are really great. And what mudras are, they're hand positions that allow our bodies to act as antennas to the universal forces. So what you'll be doing essentially is your body is going to be like this big, gorgeous open antenna on 11:11 to help you not only ascend and accelerate what it is that you want, but also make things easier and more in flow, and to kind of be in this groove where like everything that you look at is like a sign and a symbol, and you're always communicating with the universe in a really beautiful way. And so I really want you to experience that, and I really want you to see how you feel and the magnetic forces that can come through from evoking and engaging in an 11:11 experience. So again, that's daniellemercurio.com/1111. Okay, so let's talk about the numbers when they are repeating. So you may see the numbers repeating on a receipt at the coffee shop. You may see numbers repeating on a address. You may, there's so many different options of how you could see it. You open up the mail, you open up your bills, wherever numbers are present, there is an opportunity for you to see reoccurring numbers. Now, what happens is when they're repeating, it just shows how strong your connection is to the universal world, the spiritual realm. And it also shows how significant the energy of that number is for you right now. So if you walk by a storefront and you see 4 4s, then you know, like, angels be with you, my friend. Like, angels, you be hearing on high, because they are like, hello, we're here for you. Okay. I remember there was a time I walked by and I saw on a license plate 5 8s, and I was like, holy smokes, this is amazing. And I had one of my most profitable weeks that week when I saw those 5 8s. Okay. So when we see them in a repeating fashion from the space of a lot of them at once, it's just showing how powerful, how strong that is for you. In the beginning, you may just see 2 digits together. You may see on your phone 66%. You may see on a door 11. That's great. That's showing that you're opening up into this realm, that you're being engaged with the signs and the symbols and the ways that the world can communicate with you through this. And it's only going to get stronger. Eventually, you'll start to see 3 numbers in a row more often. And then eventually, you'll start to see 4. And then in some occurrences, you'll see 5. I mean, there are times I've seen 6 or 7 in a row. It's a lot more rare, but it's out there. I mean, there are a lot of billboards. Sometimes you'll see telephone numbers. I remember recently I saw it was something like 7. It was 7 7s in a row. I was like, all right, well, I'm in the car, so I'm definitely know that I'm on the right road, GPS or not. This billboard is telling me you are definitely on the right track. So the stronger your connection, the more you may see in a repeating fashion in that way. Now let's talk about you seeing the same ones over and over again. So if you keep seeing 11 11 on the clock, if you keep seeing 3 8s in a row, that's kind of the universe saying, like, there's a pressing matter around this. Like, this is currently what your theme is about. Like, your theme is about being in the vortex of 8s, and you're in a really expansive, ripe, juicy space right now. Really use this as a time to go for what it is that you want, ask for what it is that you need, claim the stuff that that would be really juicy and magnificent in your life. If you're seeing 222 every single day on your phone at that time, it's your guides, your team saying, like, hey, reach out to us. Like, it's almost like your guides are texting you. When you look at your phone and it's 222, that's like getting a text from your guides. Okay. So these are things that we want to take seriously, and really look into it and be like, why am I seeing this? And at first you may not realize it. And then eventually it's going to catch up to you and you're like, I'm seeing this a lot. Like, what is going on? And then, what might happen is like, once you start, let's say you answer your text from your guides at 222 and you start praying, you start opening up and communicating with them more, then it may start to fade because they feel like, okay, good. We got to communicate. We had some time together. Thank you. Thank you for restoring our relationship. And then you move on and you start seeing 7s. You're like, oh, I'm on the right track with that. Cool. Moving forward. So that's kind of, things that can happen for us. Like right now, like I'm in a phase where I'm seeing lots of 1s because I know first of all, I'm getting ready for 11/11. And I am coming off of my big 5 journey. And I know this is a fresh start in a lot of ways for me in some of the things that I'm doing. So I'm seeing tons of 1s right now. And it's fun. It's really cool. I've been seeing a lot of 4s as well, because I think, when I was going through what I was really opening up into angelic support, but also creating a better foundation and no longer ignoring some of the things that I was ignoring that kind of brought me to that point that I was in when I was sick. So another thing that we can start to do is you might just start to see like, okay, well, every time I look at the clock, it's not 3 numbers in a row, but for some reason I always see 833. Why is that? Why do I keep seeing 833? Why do I keep seeing 122? Why do I see 344? Okay, so what we want to do is in that capacity, we're kind of having 2 numeral forces coming together. So if you're looking at the clock and it's always 11:44, And what's happening is you have that 11 energy, which is the manifesting. What is it that you want? What is it that you are calling in? What does it look like to bring something, to fruition in your life? And then the 4-4 is knowing that your angels support this and that what you're kind of calling in is going to help bring you some grounding and foundation. So you bring in both of the energies together. It's almost like a relationship. So like when you're in a relationship, both people bring something different to create a unit. And that's kind of what's happening when you're seeing these numbers together. So if you're looking, you're walking, down the street and you notice, randomly two numbers together and they're speaking to you, play with what they could mean. And then again, that kind of become like a little bit of a signal for you. And so that's what we do when we see two different numbers kind of coming together. Oh, it's 8:33. Didn't I use that as a suggestion? I did. Oh my gosh. I just looked over at my clock and it's 8:33. Oh, yay. So that means that's juicy because I look at 8, right, as a symbol of abundance, and then 33, the ascended master. So they're like helping me. Thanks, guys. Thanks, friends. Thanks, ascended faves, helping me with the abundance piece. Okay. They're like, all right, enough, Danielle. It's 8:34 now. So another thing that I like to do, and sometimes I like to add numbers. So, for example, let's say, you live somewhere and your address, isn't anything that significant. Let's say your apartment is apartment number, let's say 326. Okay. So your apartment number 326. What you can do is you can look at each number individually, or what I like to do is I actually like to add them up. So 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 6 is 11. Oh, cool. Now your apartment number signifies 11. And now you realize that where you live signifies an opportunity for manifestation and to ask for what you need and to get what it is that you want. That's pretty cool. And then if you wanted to scrunch it down even more, you can move it into 2, which then means, this is a great place where your team and your guides and the universe is looking out for you. The universe has your back in this apartment. Isn't that fun? So I love condensing numbers in that way and kind of finding meaning, especially when a number sequence may not be significant. Like my current address isn't super significant for me when I just look at it, the 3 stand alone. But then when I add them up, it equals a number that does have, meaning for me. So it just kind of presents a new angle to look at things, and you'll intuitively know if you need to add them. But I think that's a really neat way to do things. Other things, like if you're seeing numbers in sequential order, let's say you keep seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. You see when it's 12:34, etc. Seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 just means that like you're moving things forward. Like there's order in your life, and it's being received, it's being acknowledged. That's a big thing when we see 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you get to start to decide how you want to use numbers in your life. So not only are numbers communicated to us as signs, they also can be something that we deliver out into the world as part of what we want to bring into fruition. So for example, let's say you work for yourself, you're self-employed. You can create your prices to equal certain vibrations. Now, you don't have to, make your price $88. Maybe you can do something that your price is, a number that adds up to 8. And then that way, whatever your package is, it adds up to 8. And you like that because that represents abundance and prosperity. So you can start to play with how you want numbers to come into the world. You can start to decide, dates. Like if you're picking out your wedding date, okay, what are the numbers of that date add up into? Oh, cool. Like this, I love that, the energy of today adds up to 2 and I'm getting married and, I'm entering into a partnership. Perfect. You're planning an event, same thing. Maybe you want your event to equal 4 because you want there to be that angelic presence, but you want there to be that foundational, solid piece of things too. So It can help you in making decisions when it comes to planning dates. It can help you with setting up pricing and charging for things. It gives you a little bit of control, and then you get to evoke and carry that energy with you too. You get to decide, oh, I want the energy of manifestation to be in what I do. And it's like you're kind of creating a signal and a calling card for the universe to bring it in. So not only when you see 8-8, is it the universe's way of saying like, hey, like you're in a really cool, energetic, expansive monetary bubble right now, take advantage. You can also be like, I'm going to create that myself by creating offerings that, either are $88 or add up to 88 in some capacity, so that you're telling the universe, when it comes to my services, when it comes to my pricing, here's the energetic bubble. Here's the opportunity for expansion. And that way you're playing with each other. And the universe loves that when you take initiative to kind of create the symbols yourself and to show that you understand them and you understand the significance and the symbolic meaning of it all. So I think that's a really great way to go about using the numbers as well. And so that way you're not just sitting around waiting for them, but you're like creating them yourself. So all right, so that's the gist of numbers. I think it's a really cool way for us to just be more five-dimensional, if you will, less of this kind of current reality and the way that everyday people kind of look at things, and for you to kind of have this really amazing and opportune way to be more expansive with the world and with what is beyond the world. And if you are ready to really evoke this energy on 11/11 with me, then of course I invite you once again to come to my 11/11 experience, where again we'll be creating a really cool opportunity to move through the 11/11 portal and then create a cosmic bridge that will take us into the full moon. And it's an opportunity to evoke the 11/11 piece of things for personal transformation, to help you accelerate your manifestations, to help harmonize balance within yourself, and to have a better understanding of your purpose and why you're here and what you're looking to show up for. Again, it's a 90-minute experience. It's accessible for everybody. You can do it in the comfort of your home at any time on 11/11 into the morning of the full moon. And I really encourage you to participate. In addition to the workshop, so it'll be presented to you digitally. You'll get at the onset a video from me that will take you through the experience. It's like I'm right there in your living room guiding you intimately. And then with that, you'll also get a worksheet with certain prompts to help advance and accelerate the experience, as well as a 31-day meditation that you can do that will again help your body be a channel and an antenna to create more of a frequency and a protection around what it is that you're doing. So not only will you feel the frequency of what it is that you want starting to vibrate out and make waves and help you transform, but it will also protect you in the process, so that you're staying really solid and really aligned and really healthy and confident in the process as well. So again, to go to that, it's daniellemercurio.com/1111. And if you have a spiritual soul in your life that you're always geeking out about numbers with and always wondering, why do I keep seeing this or that? Make sure you share this episode with them or anyone else that is spiritually curious around this topic. I love sharing it. And if you want more of it, definitely let me know, because I can only help you if you let me help you, right? All right. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you on 11/11.